quite a bit behind schedule, and to the interest of time management, we have decided to merge two panel discussions, and the theme was similar. The focus is on bridging the gap between industry and academia, how industry and academia can collaborate together, and what sort of policies and initiatives we are taking. And since the panel have stakeholders from both academia as well as industry, as well as from those policymakers, so we will try to address their expectations and the challenges they are facing. So it's my pleasure to now call on stage the panelists for this session. Let me welcome Mr. Nikhil Dubey, Assistant Director, Madhya Pradesh State Electronic Development Corporation, Government of Madhya Pradesh. Next speaker, Mr. Sanjay Sharma, CEO of Steel Council for Mining Sector. And we have Mr. Sanjay Sharma. Let's welcome Mr. Rajan, Bahadur, CEO of Tourism and Hospitality Skill Council. Mr. Rajan Bahadur. Next, I'd like to welcome Ulka Patel, Regional Head West Telecom Sector Skill Council. Welcome, ma'am. Next, we have Dr. Rajul Gajjar, Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Technological University. Welcome, Dr. Gajjar. I'd like to next welcome Dr. Sunil Shukla, Director General, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India. Welcome, Dr. Shukla. I'd like to welcome on stage Dr. S. Sundar Manoharan, Director General, Pandit Deendayal Energy University. Next, I'd like to welcome Dr. Sood, Director, NIFT Gandhinagar. I'd like to welcome Mr. Uttam Mishra, Assistant Vice President, Birla Corporate from Aditya Birla. I'd like to next welcome Dr. Bharat Sanghani, Provost of PP Savan University. I'd like to welcome on stage Mr. Krishna Shah, SHR Prakash Chemicals International. Next, like to welcome Dr. Sanjay Chakravarti, Executive Vice President, Ulka University. Quite a large panel, and we will try to remain crisp and succinct and on the point. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, we have all the stakeholders from the skill ecosystem here. Maybe we have academicians, we have HR representatives from the industry, and we have skill council people who are associated with the policy level, and as well as more critically for the implementation of some of those policies. I think the right point would be very briefly to each panel and panelist. I would like to address the one biggest challenge that you are facing currently in acquiring the skilled workforce. More important than, as one of the panelists in earlier panel was also mentioning, we are using skill very generically and loosely. I mean workforce with the relevant skill sets, if I may say, real relevant skill sets for that particular domain or industry. So I may start with Mr. Nikhil Dubey. Very briefly, today, your biggest challenge in acquiring that workforce with that relevant skill set. Can you better? I think, can we have the other mic? Can you check the mic? Yeah.
Thank you. So I think the word that I would like to use is synergy, and that is something that is missing while working in the government for the state. I think we talk about the collaboration between multi-stakeholders. That is very difficult to achieve. One skill that is missing, I think there's so many to pick from, and students across the sectors, across the domains are confused which skill to pick up from. I mean, there's a FOMO happening. Someone's working in the cloud is like, okay, I should also go into AI/ML, regardless of the fact that they are all connected somewhere or the other. So I think that is another
Okay, problem. Exactly. So sort of you hit the nail on the head and pointed. There are three panelists representing different skill councils. I'll come to each of them, especially with respect to the domain that you are representing, and what Mr. Nikhil right now pointed, this lack of synergy, and especially since the other two stakeholders, academia and industry, are present here, and they are sort of complemented in this. So from the skill council angle, if you can very briefly mention the challenge and maybe that action that you are contemplating. So I'll start with you, Mr. Sanjay Sharma, CEO of the Skill Council for Mining Sector. Yes.
Hi. Thank you very much for this panel discussions. See, we represent mining vertical, and the challenge what we see here is mining is in a very remote location always. It is not pan-India like other sector skill councils. We have a limited geography, and there are two limited districts where there is mineral bodies are available. And then people are not mobile. They don't move from one state to other state. People want employment in their native state, native district. Here the challenge from the employer point of view is that though there is a mandate, though there is a lot of persuasion to give local employment, but somehow they have a feeling that local people may not be so fruitful, may not be so productive. They look at the people from the outside states. It always happens. The Rajasthan will always welcome the people from Odisha and Jharkhand, and like vice versa. So the challenge, the people are not able to mobile. People want local employment, and mining being the tough terrain, it is not easy to do the job. And recent this Silkyara incident, which we have witnessed in the last 17 days, holding our breath. I don't know. It could be a game changer. Whether it will motivate people, encourage people to come to such kind of tunneling job or mining job in India, or it will restrain people to take one step ahead of this mining discipline. Okay. One more small note. Before this stint as a CEO of Skill Council, I've been a HR head for the Hindustan Zinc Vedanta company, and I had a lot of hiring. Being in the mining industries, whenever you used to go for campus hiring, and I used to ask me, why you chosen mining? People used to say, no, because it's a peer pressure. The people go for the top-notch streams, whether the computer science or core engineering. But mining used to be the last discipline where people have a lot of psychological fear, not moving out of the comfort zone. These were the other second challenge. The people are also not ready, willing to move to the mining domain. But once people work in the mining, it's a very, very safe atmosphere, very safe environment, and highly lucrative and well-settled job. That's all I can
got it. That's the internal dynamics of each of the sectors will. What I was trying to get first was the mode of the generic viewpoint, and there you correctly pointed out that there is still confusion even when you are choosing the relevant careers. So the skill part is complementary to that. So while you talked about the dynamics of mining, I'll come to you, Ulka Patel. Telecom sector, on the other hand, is a very, if I may say, for a long time, very flourishing sector. So from the telecom sector perspective, what has been the challenge in terms of getting people with relevant skill sets, and how is the synergy with the industry as well as academia?
Good afternoon, everyone. So, telecom sector is divided into two divisions. One is a service sector and one is a manufacturing sector. Manufacturing sector, we have not found any much challenges because the people are ready to work on a manufacturing company and has a casual worker and save life. But if you can go with the service sector, you will find a very we as a telecom sector we found, and as well as industry also found a challenges on the, if you can see the look about the 5G technician rigor, they have to climbing the tower on the height of 15, 16, 17 feet area. That is a very challenges, and the families and they people are not ready to allow them child to be permission to for that area. So recently we have almost trained, see if you can go with the ITI student where the people need also, then also the people are not ready to take a risk of life. Even we are telling them, industry also telling them there is a safety equipments are there, we are giving to train on the safety side, still there is a fairness are there to be on the service side where we have the rigor on site.
Got it. So again, telecom sector too has its own internal dynamics, and one very interesting point that you are mentioning with the telecom sector represents that one is the manufacturing part and the services part. So when we are talking about the services part, and largely in many sectors, India is gradually now becoming a more services driven economy, and the next person I'll come to represents a services oriented industry, Mr. Rajan Bahadur. The tourism and hospitality skill, those are more services oriented. So what is the main challenge that you faced in terms of workforce, and how do you mitigate that?
Yeah, so I think the tourism hospitality industry was perhaps the first one to get hit during COVID.
Exactly.
And probably the last one to recover. So two or three challenges which come is, one is mobility. People who lost their jobs went back to their villages and hometowns. Because the lockdown continued for nearly 2 years, they started doing small things like tea stalls and things. They don't want to come back today because they're happier getting a 30% lower income, but they're at home. Future is uncertain for them. The second is the right fit or the demand supply gap. There is no point for me if the demand for, let's say, housekeeping in the next 6 months is, let's say, 3,000 people, and I'm training only 1,000. Whereas in front office, if the demand is, let's say, 200 and I'm training 1,500. So the demand supply gap analysis is something which is very, unfortunately, there hasn't been a pan-India demand supply study done. There have been regional geographical stuff done. We as a Sector Skill Council have now ourselves undertaken, of course, we went back to the government, central government, and said, it's for your good, invest in it. We haven't seen the day of it. So we went ahead and I've commissioned a study on a pan-India basis, district-wise, where we are not only just covering the institutes, the districts, but also students and the employer, so that we have a three-dimensional rounded skill gap analysis, at least for the next 3 years, or what are actually the demands, and we can plan our skilling accordingly.
Great, sir, and thanks. You have just given me the pointer towards the next panel, is the need of the hour, that supply, demand, and the gap analysis, and that too obviously on a pan-India level, because this is such a heterogeneous country and the demographics are so different that one region cannot be replicated easily everywhere. So we needed that. So now we have the academicians and the industry. So maybe for just a variety perspective, alternately we'll come to one academician and one industry person with their perspective. I'll start with Dr. Rajul. From an academician point of view, the biggest challenge in providing for the industry students with the relevant skill sets.
So the biggest challenge is about completely transformational technologies. You train a large mass of students in one particular domain, in one particular sector. For example, let me give you the example of electronics and communication. So there was a huge need, a huge demand, and then all of a sudden, and all of a sudden, that course just has no takers. And so most of the institutions started rolling back those courses. There was a huge demand for the IT and the CE personnel, so everyone is shifting there. Now, if you look at the scenario at Gujarat, semiconductors, manufacturing.
But ma'am, here, if I may interrupt, you mentioned the course has no takers. But moment you mention the course has no takers, isn't it a sort of a tacit admission that maybe the curriculum itself was not relevant?
No, there was no industry. There was no. Yeah, the industry itself was closing down. Vis-a-vis the demand supply. There was a huge demand, so the courses were offered. So, but the bigger challenge is now. So you have these semiconductors coming in, and you need thousands. And that itself, to create that kind of an ecosystem, to create that entire manpower, there has to be also a gap where the industry itself, we have need talks with the industry. We are creating the curriculum, but it takes some time to create this environment. Huge challenges in terms of renewable energy, in terms of all the emerging technologies, vis-a-vis what is already in mind.
Okay. So if I may sum it up, maybe the flexibility in changing the curriculum, in catering to the relevant industry demands, that has to be faster and more nimble. Okay, great. So I'll come to someone from the industry now. On that perspective, Udit Mishra, in terms of the challenges that you are facing in getting relevant the students with the relevant skill sets.
Yeah.
How are you looking at it?
Good afternoon. So I see this challenge is threefold. The first one is redundancy, second one is abundancy, and third one is insufficiency. I think there are still few skill sets which are really abundant in the market. And probably, and one of the examples we are hearing was, you have a lot of people who have these degrees, but there is no taker, right? This is also a challenge we do face. There are few skills which we need, but for example, one of the skills we need today is mechatronics. And when I was doing a research in Gujarat, I found only few institutes were actually giving mechatronics, but that's the future which we need in Aditya Birla Group and Birla Kapoor. Because we want people, we are moving towards a structure which is highly cross-functional. It is not those traditional structure wherein you need electrical, specifically mechanical, electronics. We want people who can do, it's like a Japanese way of manufacturing, right? I mean, somebody who is accountable to do a production of a piece of material, he or she has to know each and everything. I mean, some mechanical maintenance will be done by somebody, operation I'm accountable for. Those things are going away. Therefore, you need a skill which is cross-functional.
Exactly.
So I think this, therefore, for me, I think the challenge is threefold: abundancy, insufficiency, and redundancy. Yeah.
So in sort of both the industry and your previous panelist, again that same thing, the synergy, relevance in synergy between what is required by the industry and the way the curriculum moves. So coming back now to the academician again, Dr. Sundar Manoharan, I'll come to you. Do you foresee that there is a requirement to update the curriculum, the academic curriculum, and be very flexible about it, so that it remains, because the industry moves fast, the technologies in the industry and the requirements. So are our institutions, the educational institutions, moving fast enough to change the curriculum accordingly? What is your opinion?
Yes, thank you for having us here. Definitely, the impetus to changing the curriculum has also come from our complaints to NEP 2020 that has fast forwarded this reset. And most of the technical universities are now talking about Industry 4.0, and the curriculum is completely revamped in most of the institutions. So I think there is no dearth for the sensitivity as to what the Industry 4.0 demands are concerned, and we are very much into it. But I don't know whether I'll get another chance to speak, so let me finish up with one or two statements. Having revitalized the curriculum, there is also a mandate for us to do the skill training. Otherwise, they are not industry ready, just with the curriculum revision. So when it comes to skill training, what we have understood is merely sending them to industries doesn't really take care of the gap analysis. So PDU, although we are known for energy, what we are actually emphasizing now is only manufacturing skill set. So we have actually brought manufacturing facility itself into the campus. We are not sending them out. So we at present have 2 OEM partners with us. 45 megawatt solar panel manufacturing is going to be inaugurated 2 days from now.
Okay.
And that will provide at least 1,000 technical students to be trained on the floor to meet the energy demand.
Okay.
Similarly, on the energy sector, we have brought more such manufacturing skill sets within the campus. And that has in fact brought industry into academia rather than
academia going to the industry. Okay. So I would elaborate on that point. Obviously, one requirement is whatever form it be, internship or proper way where the industry and academia work in sync. But when I come to another academician, Dr. Sunil Shukla, my question is, in many cases, let's bell the cat itself. Are the faculties itself, do they have the relevant skill sets in terms of knowledge of the relevant skill sets so that they impart the training? I mean, in terms of the modern, the way the industry is progressing, that's moving very fast. So if there is a problem at the beginning itself, then the foundation itself will be so. What's your view?
We are into different domains, including entrepreneurship, and not only behind academic programs, but also there are several other development projects that we implement. And there are numerous challenges. It's difficult for me to find one challenge, but one of the greatest challenges is identifying the right kind of faculty. See, whatever we may say, and acceptability of entrepreneurship has been teaching only almost we say that around 100,000 startups are involved, unicorns are there, so many. But if you look at the core entrepreneurship dimension, hardly there is any institution which is creating entrepreneurship teams. There are top-class institutions creating faculty for teaching finance, market, technology, behavior, so many things. But entrepreneurship is a view of the enterprise. More than that, unless and until you have that entrepreneurial fervor, it's difficult for you to create entrepreneurs. And this is the biggest challenge that we find. And we also look for those kind of faculty who can motivate, who can develop skills of opportunity identification, facing the intricacies of the enterprises
Yes. Just summing up, yeah, you rightly mentioned that in terms of often the faculty with the updated knowledge might be the right thing. I'll come to Dr. Samir Sood also with a similar thing, but faculty is one part of it. Do you see that the academia requires more intimate connection with the industry in terms of not just token internship? Even sometimes this internship happens is just for a certificate, something happens, but are these associations with the industry where very relevant skill sets are passed on?
So, namaskar everybody. I represent fashion education industry. So,
Hmm.
my biggest statement that fashion is incomplete without craft and craft is incomplete without skill. Skill is very important as it is important in every industry. So, it is very much important for our fashion industry. Fashion industry, we have organized sector and we have unorganized sector. Organized sector means we have factory, we have garment manufacturing factory, we have factory, then we would like to have this organized workforce. At the same time, we are, I must say that we are the oldest civilization in this planet, and we are very good in handicraft and we are doing a lot of initiatives in this sector, and like NIFT and Ministry of Textiles is also doing a lot of initiatives. So as we talk about this handlooms and handicraft sector, we need to do a lot of capacity building in this sector also, because we have to basically this sector is because there around 4,000 years back also, if I may tell you some history of this sector, the first cotton was grown in our civilization. The first indigo plant was grown in our civilization. So skill was there 4,000 years before also, and skill is there right now. So we need to basically motivate these artisans so that they remain in business. There's a tendency among the artisans that they are moving towards, they are not interested in doing this business. So as a fashion education industry professional, and there are other institutions also, we are doing a lot of capacity building exercise. So your question was basically, are we connected with the industry as an institute? Yes, we are very well connected with the industry, and we have a very strong interface with the industry. So we have a body wherein the curriculum is also very dynamic in nature in NIFT. In an institute like NIFT, the curriculum is not a static type of thing. So we keep on revising the curriculum as per the dynamic needs of the industry. Like nowadays, this artificial intelligence and Internet of Things are coming. So we are also, our curriculum is as updated as the industry.
Okay. So just briefly, I'll ask very briefly if you can. One interesting point you mentioned about the fashion industry having an organized as well as a large unorganized sector. So my understanding is if the proper skill sets are that proportion of that unorganized sector will come down and it will get more organized. So is it happening really from
Yes, if I give you some statistics, around 45 million people are employed in this industry. Textile and fashion industry is the second largest employer of this country. The first one is basically agriculture, they are still economy. Second is textile, which I get. And unorganized sector workforce is around 45 million. So if we combine these two workforces, it is around 6% population of our country which is used. And unorganized sector also, it is very much important to be unorganized.
Okay.
So I would not say that all the 45 million people become organized. Honorable Prime Minister is talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. So Atmanirbhar Bharat is not possible without unorganized sector.
Exactly.
Mahatma Gandhi gave a vision of Khadi. Khadi is basically for sustainable development, village economy. So we should not say that all the village economy should come to the city. We should have some employment which should be there in the village. And Khadi is the best example which are Mahatma Gandhi.
Great. Thank you. Coming back to the industry part, Krishna Shah. From a chemical industry perspective, the challenge in terms of getting people with the relevant skill sets, what's your biggest challenge?
So if I talk about my biggest challenge, so let me introduce my industry first, because I represent a very industry segment, which is of course the chemical sector is a very, very big sector when it comes to manufacturing. but I represent capital distribution sector. So I belong to an industry which is into exports of capital, and we are into capital distribution, manufacturing, we do backward integration, forward integration, and also we have application development labs. So it's a very unique industry that I represent, which is of course, a manufacturing setup has a different set of challenges. But when it comes to capital distribution and that to export-oriented capital distribution, the biggest challenge that we face is international trade and compliance courses, which many institutes are not offering. So there are a lot of diploma and certification courses which are available right now, but which is not sufficing our need. Because we are 100% into exports and the kind of industry that we run. So imagine, few years back, 20 years back when we started our industry, we were hardly exporting 150 crore annually. Now we are 150 crore monthly organization. So that is a huge transition, and what kind of capability initiatives is required to upscale the business is something which is unimaginable, because we are dealing into more than 120 countries. So understanding different trade and compliances and regulations, geopolitical situations of those 120 countries, bringing revenues for the India, which is almost 1500 to 1800 crore of turnover that our organization has. So bringing those revenues in India, complying with Indian rules and regulation, and at the same time complying with the international trade compliances. It's a very complex model that we work with, and the kind of course curriculum that we get from the institutes is something very difficult to cope up. So that's the reason we run our own academy, so that we train our people in-house so that they become capable of managing this international trade and compliance.
Okay. So again, obviously the internal dynamics of the sector you explained, and there where we can extrapolate that challenge there. Dr. Rajul, I'll come to you next in terms of from the academic institution purpose, providing students, training students to get industrial level skill sets. What's your biggest challenge?
So what we do dynamic about the industry needs. We have a center on the education where we offer the industry-based courses. So a very good example was we started offering on such course on international compliances. And my God, across different countries, we had to run it online. We started with the hybrid mode, but then there were so many takers. So this is what is helping us understand the industry. This is also helping us bring back a lot of interest of the industry in niche areas also. Another very good example that I can give is very recently we have launched courses for working professionals. So what is happening is that the industry already has a workforce which are already there. They might not be able to come back to college, but we are offering them in niche areas, very industry-specific courses, so that they can upgrade their skills. This is also bringing another feature that our faculty are getting real-time access to those industries. So it's a win-win situation.
Excellent.
That is our interaction with the industry and another feature which we are very soon to roll out is also about changing the curriculum, as the panel earlier had mentioned, that changing the core and the tight curriculum become very difficult to match the industry. So bringing in co-op courses, where now this is where the industry also has to help us out, because one way is send the students to the internships, but that is not working out so well for the industry, for the students, for the engineering. Yes, good, there is a lot of hands-on that is coming in. But in the core courses, we would have certain part on campus, the certain part they have to go to industry. Where the industry has to bear with these students patiently, keep them on, and so that while they finish the entire course,
yes.
they are on this.
So, couple of areas that you are suggesting, obviously, that industry, academia thing, what we have seen in some of the Ivy League universities across the world, there is collaboration more in terms of there are centers of excellence in the universities themselves, which are run by basically by the large industries themselves.
Very important feature that is happening is large universities tend to take a large number of students. There, we are telling them that you define the course, the hands-on, the skill.
Yes.
It is completely defined by you. We are doing it.
That is excellent. That is also excellent. And another important point that you mentioned, with which I'll come to the next speaker, is to make the faculty more relevant and offering, especially for working professionals, the courses at their own pace and their own leisure, not having to come back to a physical faculty. So I'll come to our next panelist, Dr. Sandeep Chakravarti, and ask this question in terms of, particularly this was relevant during COVID when we saw that online and this learning from home thing happening. So has that facilitated more this what she mentioned about relevance in terms of providing industry relevant courses, and you need not come back physically to the campuses to learn the whole thing. Whereas, because though we are saying changing the curriculum, NEP things we are talking about, but now 2 years we have seen even those NEP changes need a lot of bureaucratic wranglings, and only then changes can happen. It cannot move as fast as the industry wants. So what's your opinion there?
Yeah, firstly, very good afternoon. And I would say what ma'am has just told, things after COVID, the disruption that we have seen, and this particular NEP has also given us this particular flexibility and freedom. And being from a private university, I would say that bureaucratic constraints, we do not have that much. So this online availability of the experts from the industry and giving their expertise to the students for the courses have really worked out and has given us a new beginning, I would say. And thanks to COVID in that particular case, that we could realize to that particular possibilities, and we could exploit these particular possibilities and see that how that can be utilized to the benefit of the students. That's point number one. Point number two is I would just take the point that ma'am has just said a bit ahead. Just concentrating ourselves to the industry internship, concentrating ourselves to the final year dedicated to the project work, concentrating ourselves to the industry visit, I feel that is not enough for making this industry education connect to work out. But that does not mean that we cannot do much onto the skill sector and upskilling or reskilling part of it. What my point of view is, as a young university that I represent, all of us have certain areas of strength. So if I talk about our university, we are very well placed in the field of aviation. So we have all the infrastructure, I would say, in the field of aviation. Let's say it's a Boeing 737 that we have, a Learjet that we have, a Sukhoi that we have. So we have a jet engine. We have all those particular requirements which will be available or which are used by the aviation industry for a maintenance engineer. So we very proudly give this particular skill set for the aircraft maintenance engineering courses by the DGCA. We also have a tie-up for the cybersecurity courses and a drone maintenance. So these areas are our competencies, these areas are our strengths. So I am sure that other universities and other institutes will also be working in collaboration and have their own strengths. So we can meet most of these particular challenges of the industry if we collaborate together and see hands in hands if we can utilize all.
So you are talking about a consortium sort of thing.
That may work out to a greater extent to meet this particular requirement of the industry rather than individually focusing that we will be having all the skill set at our doorstep.
So Dr. Parag, your point of view on the challenge in this collaboration between industry.
First of all, thank you for inviting all of us here. I would like to mention the first point which we all have to address is the mindset. Because Lord Macaulay has put up in our mindset that those who are working, they are the lower level people. So that mentality persists across the society. So people are coming for civil engineering, not for the degree, but increase the value in a marriage market. So we have tried a lot. We went to Denmark at PP7 University, tried to collaborate with the skill councils there. And we find that in India, there are people has this mindset that if you do anything through your hand, you are of lower strata of a society. And that challenges the measure to update the skilling into the India. And that's why we have to embed it with the degrees. We have to provide the specific, I will say all skill council has to cosmetically weigh, so people will accept that, that skill also earn a lot of, reputation in a society. So in that concept, that's the one challenge. And at university level, to provide the skill, we need industry, because industry say they don't get a skill partner. But the same way, the industry also has to work with the academia to provide such latest skills, that is equipment, to help them to build the talent for the...
So this industry, very briefly, do you mean in terms of financial aids, or how do you expect that?
In terms of a curriculum development, in terms of a facilitating the, skilling with the internship, with that, and not only, a student internship, faculty internship, because
Exactly.
we need a manpower. So
True.
teach that we all are lacking. I want to give a best skill in artificial intelligence or machine learning. Where is the people? We all
Exactly.
run 1,000 students for computer science, but there is no one who are really
Exactly.
providing that.
That's
skill.
a big challenge, definitely there that you mentioned. Very briefly, maybe the after effects of Macaulay, what you mentioned is correct, but I will say there has been one good effect also, the Indian bureaucracy. As we see today, that is also the contribution of Macaulay, if I may say. Okay, so now I think we have got one round with all the panelists. So very briefly, we will just have one more round, and I will try to sort of sum up with all the panelists. And very briefly, again, not 30 to 40 seconds, more than 30 to 40 seconds each of you. One action plan, which concretely, and I will not, I will say concrete action plan, not something wishy-washy, which
industry, and of course, like sectoral differences might persist. But what we are trying to do here is set an example. I mean, there's always something robust institutions, robust yet flexible institutions can achieve. So first of all, like having those robust institutions in place, that is the first task. And I think it's a decade-old organization now, which entered into the foray of software development, and now we require talent from within the state. We realize that attrition is happening to that extent that it's difficult to exist, and so you will have to find local talent somehow. How to do that? We started an internship program, and we believe that internships cannot be unpaid. If you're utilizing talent, you'll have to pay for that talent. If you have to get attractive talent, you have to pay for that talent. So we started an internship scheme. Now the challenge with the government was, how do you deal with the sifarish? Everybody wants to come and everybody wants to get that stipend of 25,000 rupees per month. So what we decided is, okay, like we have a joint venture with TCS. The government of MP has a joint venture with TCS, and we conducted an exam with them. It's like, okay, like sifarish aane do, sabko exam to dena hi padega.
Exactly.
And that is how we selected 100 interns. Now we are dividing them into working groups of 10. We are collaborating with our service providers. So Microsoft is training them into their cloud. Amazon is training them into their cloud. Now there's an AI ML working group, and let's absorb them if possible. Let's absorb them. Yeah.
You have outlined the robust university model that you mentioned perfectly there. So next, I'll come to Sanjay Sharma, your point of view, very briefly.
See, a few of these states are very proactively supporting skill ecosystem. We were last week in Puri for a conference organized by Odisha government, and we were so amazed to see their proactive approach. They have created a fund of rupees 380 crores for the next 3 financial years. They have offered all the institutions lying vacant, the ITIs, building diploma colleges. So they have given open, to anybody from any state can come, adopt the institutions and develop as a skill ecosystem or skilling center. So, and they are very also offered one more good thing. that any state who are looking for the manpower, they can take people from Odisha government, train them, and they will bear entire logistic and travel cost and training cost. So I am seeing a very, a different kind of dynamics where state government are offering this kind of thing.
Okay.
So this, if other state can also copy this, replicate this kind of module,
that is,
I'm very sure if there is a push from the top, the bottom.
That's very very advanced thinking from the government, and in fact, in one of the subsequent panels today, we will talk about this geographical hinterland in terms of the skill sets.
Okay.
Maybe we will elaborate on that point.
Sure. Thank you.
There. Thanks. Mr. Rajan Bahadur, your viewpoint.
So, very quickly, I spoke about the skill gap analysis, demand supply, which we're already working on. The other thing that we are doing is, because we are not able to get the right fit and the right people, we are following the hub and spoke method, where we are actually going out. I run 600 training centers across India. We have a collaboration with 80 plus universities and colleges. We want to double it. We want to go there and do that. The idea is, in our industry, lot of people, and we work in the middle and the bottom of the pyramid. In our industry, a lot of people have only seen hotels and 5 stars in Bollywood. They see only the bells and whistles. They don't know exactly the work that goes on behind the scenes.
True.
So we get people closer to their hometowns and their villages to get them initially induct them, see the attitude and aptitude. I can skill people if he or she has the attitude. But if they don't have an aptitude for that, we can't.
Yes, and attitude in a services sector is very critical.
So I'm not even considering the fact that states are doing that, they are doing, but the industry involvement. I mean, somebody spoke about apprenticeship. We are doing a recruit, train, deploy method, where we are actually, the industry is paying us to train to their specification.
Okay.
And we are building a very healthy pipeline.
That's thanks, Ulka.
So we are audible? Yeah. So we are using the Center of Excellency format to.
I think you have to move it closer.
Now audible?
Yeah, now audible.
So we are using Center of Excellency to support of the industry to align with the education institute, university for the train the candidate for the valid industry people. So we have almost 25 Center of Excellency we have developed with the support of the industry, and we train as per them requirement and align with the industry on that requirement. As well as we are working on a work integrated program like BWork, apprenticeship, place and train, recruit and place program, where the industry is doing employment of skill, reskill of their manpower and on the new technology. And this all, as well as we are also develop the employee with village employer quality framework, where which will be support to the village area of the people on the service side. Our curriculum name is Telecom Gramin Udyogi, where the nowadays all the people are using internet. Without the internet, not a second people will be live. It is like oxygen. Internet is the oxygen of the people. So for that service, people need in the village, people need a technician to provide the facility of the fiber to home, installation of the fiber to home, wiring, Wi-Fi, repairing of the hardware, etc.
So
we
are creating the rural ecosystem with that trend,
as well as into the with the people.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rajul.
So we are creating more or less boundaryless courses where the industry defines the needs can be very quickly, offering minors, honors, offering credit transfers to certificate courses. There is also one very important and creative terms of bringing the faculty closer to the industry. Usually what happens is that the faculty is always either teaching or assessing taking exam. So we have clubbed the entire calendar wherein there is a lot of time that the faculty has exam, which once again we have mandated when we go to the industry and the following entrepreneurship in the industry. So that is where the industry needs and demands. We offer projects to the students early on from digital itself that is out of box thinking. So a little bit of lifelong learning to the technology is into the system, into the regular curriculum itself. So
Sure.
Beyond the curriculum, there is a lot that in terms of baskets, electric, that we can.
Great. Thanks. Dr. Shukla.
One initiative which I would like to talk about is that we follow milestone-based teaching learning. Alongside understanding the core and foundation courses of management and entrepreneurship, our students are also taught about what are various milestones that they should aspire or they should achieve as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And we have discussed and like how to fight patent, how to develop prototype, how to establish your own company, partnership, etc. This such milestones, and we teach them how to achieve this. We also train the art and this TSSC of achieving these milestones. And in this, we have involvement of our own alumni entrepreneurs or
Yes.
the peers. They come and they teach them.
That's important.
It is so happen that somebody may not be a top trader so far as scholastic achievement is concerned, but their achievement of milestones is learning.
Yes.
And
Good.
we also provide them skill funding at the time of graduation.
Okay. Got it. Thanks. Thanks. Dr. Sundar. Dr. Sundar Manoharan. Yeah.
I've been carefully listening to your questions. You're subtly trying to expose whether academia is vulnerable to these changes. I want to correct you. Please don't think faculty are not empowered. I didn't like the way you are building the questions. Faculty and the university is not respected as it was during our days. Now, industry and government to some extent are thinking it's a car park area. You think it's drive through to pick up some skill whichever you like and go. Industry should also respect that we are not there to engineer skill trained people. We have character building, social engineering obligations
That
are
part
also
is there, but
no, please. So, industry is often coming with a imported technology, and you play the card very close to your heart. You don't even tell what is that you want. So, industry also should handhold. In other words, it's not academia who should go to industry for empowering the faculty, but industry should come and take the faculty along. If you want to really see India with the Atmanirbhar capability or sustainability, we need a lot of handholding from the industry. At the same time, imagine in the last 3 years, government has floated so many things, including G22, many things. Faculty members are the most distracted community in the world, in the society, because they don't know what to do. On one hand, industry demand, one hand, the trillion economy demands. Therefore, faculty across all academia need to be encouraged and respected in order to really engineer the skill.
But really, do you think that industry, see, end of the day, I'm getting what you are saying, and obviously everyone respects the academicians in terms of the social engineering they give, but it's in the interest of the industry themselves. If for industry to have a sustainable business,
See,
they will need people
See,
with relevant
I've
skill
been-
sets.
I've been with IIT system for 20 years. Now I've been with private. I'm now with state private university. The demands of a private university or the way they are placed in the entire format of education is very different from the way we come from IITs. We look at skill training in a very different way. But 80% of our students are not coming from IITs, not from any government funded project, institutions. So the private institutions are also taking a lot of load in this Skill India movement.
Okay.
So we need to, as much as have pride over the skill set that we have from IITs and NITs, we should also take this 80% of the people on board.
Okay.
That will give the right complementary.
Got it. The point. Dr. Sood, now I'll come to you.
We have recently taken two initiatives which I would like to talk. We take a lot of initiatives as per your question. Two initiatives I would like to talk. We have an NIT as an institute and Ministry of Textiles recently started an outreach program. Okay. So we are reaching out to all the stakeholders other than our students. By means of this outreach program, we are reaching out to industry, we are reaching out to craftspersons, we are reaching out to clusters for their capacity. As and when the demand comes from the clusters, as and when the demand comes from the industry, we reach out to them by means of this outreach program. And another initiative that I would like to talk, we have recently restructured our curriculum. By means of which we have introduced these IDMs, interdisciplinary majors and minors, where a student can learn, apart from his own department, student can learn the skills of other departments.
Okay.
If I give you an example, a fashion design student would be able to learn the skills of a fashion technology student. Or maybe fashion technology can learn the skills of the fashion management student. So it will basically give an inclusive fashion education.
The cluster part is very interesting. Textile or fashion. You have these clusters, the Tirupurs and the Agras, and those are the industry clusters.
Maheshwar and Bagh and this Kutch and these are also. So I was mentioning about this craft clusters.
Craft clusters. Okay.
And by the way, as a country, we are second biggest in craft clusters.
Okay.
Across the
Okay. Uditav.
Yeah, I think two things. First one is around having a mindset to have more collaboration with like-minded entities. That, and this is what we have started personally in Birla Kapur, is tying up with discussing with Skillsonics, which is a Bangalore-based organization which is dealing with skill development, upskilling, reskilling. While doing that, also with a lot of government institutes and obviously other entities. That is one part, and therefore we have started something last year called Birla Kapur Skill Academy, which we are ramping it up this year and obviously next 2-3 years. Second part is having an ecosystem internally within the organization to actually acquire and retain skills. I think that is a very, very critical aspect.
Yes.
I think focusing on employee value proposition, for example, having a culture which enables people to stay and therefore acquire talent is critical. I think these are two things are very, very super critical.
Sure. Great. Thanks. Dr. Parag.
I don't want your lunch should become a dinner, so I will very brief that at PPSU we are trying to provide one skill to the students. So at least one skill should be embedded into the degree. Like my BCom students will have at least daily, they should have a hands-on experience. If they are having either GST, form filling as to, so every graduation outcome we mapped with the one skill. So at least our graduates
That's very
will
tactically very relevant move, I might say. Krishna Shah.
So I resonate with the thoughts of Mr. Sundar, and we are equally committed in developing our own people, within the organization. So for Prakash, when it comes to, we have taken 3 major initiatives and wherein we run our own academy. So we have PCIPL, which is Prakash Campus International Private Limited, PCIPL Business Academy, where we upscale and we do a technical and functional capability building programs. We have PCIPL Leadership Academy to develop our future leaders and developing that future talent pipeline within the organization. And then the third academy that we have is PCIPL Talent Academy, where we nurture and grow our hypos and make sure that our succession planning is in place. So these are 3 major initiatives through which we
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And Dr. Chakraborty, you have the last word.
And the last, so I'll keep it very, very brief. I have already spoken. I feel that we all are doing our best. We all understand the challenge, and to the best of our capacity and capability, we are putting it up. My just request would be that a consortium of that particular sort, where we can more easily see the best and we can join hands with all the best particular possibilities that each one of us has, and then collectively we can maybe further improve to whatever we are trying to aim at or whatever we are trying to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, we come to an end of the panel discussion, obviously for paucity of time. Otherwise, there were many interesting points, and what we learned is the dynamics of different domains, but ultimately the crux that came out was the essence, though it's heterogeneous, but there is some homogeneity within that amidst the challenges. So I would now request Mr. Shouvik Goswami, he is the co-founder and group editor of APAC News Network, to hand over a token of appreciation to all the panelists here.